They would wait until they're like 30-ish, and if they get fed up with datings, if they get fed up with boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and they think it's going nowhere, I need to get married, I need to find some decent guy or a girl, then just they give up everything and go to the matchmaker.
Oh, really? See, that's interesting because you, like your company, what you do for PUA training is you help guys who want to meet women, have relationships based on their personality or based on being able to display what they have more effectively than they would be able to otherwise. But isn't that going against the perceived Korean culture of matchmaking, of introductions?
It's not really a culture. It's just we're stuck with it. It's not even tradition. I don't think it's romantic at all. I don't think it's even right at all.
Interesting. So it's just how they do it, really.
Yeah, it's very urban culture, maybe.
It's interesting because pickup, which is really being able to make relationships happen, using your personality, really having the relationships that you want, as opposed to, say, like you said, chance. But it's really derived from a Western style of meeting people, which is, you're supposed to bump into them at the coffee shop. If you watch Western movies, like a lot of the times it's just they randomly meet. Yeah, I'm sure they do introductions in the West, but not as much as I think Korea does. But do you think that maybe that there are some companies that help men and women like find their perfect match through matchmaking, through introductions, like for example, like a book, how to get your friends to introduce you to the right people. You know how like in the West there's like how to approach the right woman, and in Korea would there be something like how to get your friends to introduce you to their top friends?
No, not really. It's not really necessary because Korean people are really used to it anyway. So
well, let's go back to romance. Like, you said it's not really romantic how they do it, but romance. Do you think it's a Western thing? Is it a feeling? Is it something that it's a Western concept from their poetry or whatever they had in the past, or the movies?
Well, Korea had some romance literature as well. Like hundreds of years ago. And suddenly they seem to be all gone.
Really?
Yeah, maybe it's because of these industrial developments happened back in 70s and 80s, and people became really materialistic. Korea was ruled by the military government for around 20 to 30 years, and then before that, of course, it was colonized by Japanese Empire. So maybe that's why they all forgot about romance. That's why I think that it's very personal perspective. Korean women are not much different. They're just women. They're same as all the other women all over the world. But you have to understand Korean history, and you have to understand that Korean people have this higher shield against foreigners, and you have to understand the social norms in Korea. And if you're a foreigner, they would see you first as invader.
Wow, right.
Or an intruder. So that's why interracial dating is not very common in Korea.
Right.
It happens more often, but still not very visible.
It's still taboo in a way. It's still taboo, and it's still kind of nobody wants to talk about it, kind of thing. Like, so based off of that, what tips would you give, like if you had clients, like, because you do take in foreign clients, and if they come and they say, hey, I want to get better at meeting Korean women, I'm looking for a wife, I'm looking for a girlfriend, or I'm just looking to have fun, what tips would you give guys who are starting out, who know nothing about Korean culture, whether they're in Korea or overseas, because a lot of Korean women do travel overseas as well. What tips would you?
Well, within Korea, Korean people value, as I said, Korean people value community, and they think very much in terms of community, family community rather. Well, I'm sure you'd know, but like in Korea, we call an older man 아저씨, which basically means uncle.
Right. Interesting.
An older man 할아버지, which means grandpa. So we all call each other grandpa, uncle, auntie, sis, bros. It's very family-based culture. So that means if you get accepted by the community, then you have no problem. They see you as invader, but once you are part of the group, that's fine.
Interesting.
And you're gonna have even more value than other Korean because you basically stand out.
Right.
You're gonna draw lots of attention. So if you're a foreigner in Korea, if you like a girl, and I would advise that you go into into her social group.
Okay.
You have to belong to their social circle. So learn Korean. You don't have to speak Korean fluently, but if you speak 1 or 2 words, they would welcome it because they would welcome a foreigner who wants to be Korean.
Right.
So
Interesting.
if you learn a bit about Korean history and show them you understand Korean history and you like Korean culture, festival food, we have wonderful foods in Korea.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Kimchi's good.
If you can speak 1 or 2 Korean words, they would really fascinate them.
Wow. Because it shows that you're genuinely interested.
Yeah, and then they would really rather treat you as family.
Right. So if you come in, if you don't come in aggressively, if you're just more friendly and you're part of their social group, how would you go into their social group? Let's say there was a woman you saw, let's say you're working and you have a coworker who's Korean, for example.
You need to have a Korean wingman.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to a club and if you just hung out with just your foreigner friends, which is natural. I mean, you feel more comfortable with people who speak your mother tongue and people who are from the same country as you did. But if you go into the club with a bunch of 4 Caucasians, if you're Caucasian, then that is a threat to the Korean community.
So find a Korean wingman, join some Korean groups, hang out with them, and then from there things will happen naturally.
Yeah.
After that, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I know for me, I have some Korean friends, but for me I found it very difficult simply because I found that the humor to be quite different than what I was used to, or sometimes even the language barrier.
Korean people are not very used to sarcasm. So
Right.
if you're a very sarcastic person, even if you make it as a joke, then they would not very understand.
They would not get it, right? And what do you think of this? I wrote that if you go to clubs, for example, and you want to have Korean friends, you're gonna have to get good at drinking. Do you think that's a fair thing to say? I said that you have to get good at drinking because Koreans enjoy going out and drinking. Do you think that's pretty accurate? Do you think it depends?
Are you talking in terms of pickup or just?
I guess just general socializing. Let's say you're socializing for the sake of you make some Korean friends, but also if you're attracted to Korean women, you could be able to meet.
Yeah, well, Koreans do drink a lot and they love drinking. So if you can drink, it helps.
It helps. And I said that Koreans enjoy when they're introducing new friends that they go to hubs, bars.
Yeah.
Is that how when people are introducing people for the first time, that's where they go? Would you say that's true? They go there.
I wouldn't say they get introduced at hubs. They usually people introduce each other during daytime, and if they get along, they go to hubs then.
Okay. The whole groups, or just the 2 people, or
usually as a group.
A group.
Because it gets awkward.
It gets awkward if it's just the 2.
Yeah, well.
That's interesting because in the West, I would feel like I always felt awkward when I was, the whole group was following me.
In Korea, they always think of community basis.
Interesting.
So if you are meeting someone new, and you just form the new community, so it has to be awkward in Korea.
That's very interesting. Well, thank you very much, Alex, for sharing this. I'm sure our listeners will benefit from this and learn some things that I wish I had known when I first came to Korea. Because some of the stuff will just frustrate the heck out of you if you come in with thinking that it's like the West and it's completely different. Anyway, thanks, Alex.
Thanks.